Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gaming Titcom video. We have absolutely fantastic news regarding the Order 1886. It's going to be using MSAA times 4. So I've done an article concerning this, so you could check it out if you so desire. I've linked the original sources and put a little bit more information than what I'm going to discuss in this very video, but it's certainly not a requirement for you to do so. Anyway, the developers have commented on Twitter and said that the resolution is not set in stone yet. In other words, they're still tinkering with it internally. In case you're wondering why, this is down to the fact that some people are just not happy with the fact it's running an 800p. That would be 1920 by 800. I've discussed this already quite in depth, so if you guys want to check that out, I've linked to it in the description, as I've mentioned. But anyway, instead, they've decided to use that extra performance. It's roughly 25%, roughly. And they've decided to use this for 4 times MSAA. And they've stated that it looks better. And in addition to that, the bandwidth requirement for 4 times MSAA is actually higher than 1080 without it. Now, typically, games developers do not utilize 4 times MSAA. The simple reason is that it is very expensive on GPU and memory bandwidth. So typically, developers will give this as an option to PC users. So for example, you can go with 4 times or 8 times or whatever MSAA, and that's pretty much all there is to it. But console owners generally, for example, they'll have like FXAA or some kind of aliasing, anti-aliasing mixture of, like, for example, in Killzone Shadowfall. And the idea behind it is basically to alleviate as much of the jaggies as possible, but at the same time leave as much performance left over as possible. So what it seems like, and I'm certainly not going to put words in the developer's mouth, this is just from what I'm personally reading between the lines. It seems that they had like an artistic vision. They were like, you know what, this benefits us in kind of a film-esque way to go with this. It also gives us a lot more performance, and therefore we can utilize 4 times MSAA. Now, I understand many people do not like the black bars, and funnily enough, I actually hated them a couple of years ago myself. I really detested when films did it. I actually went so far as to actually zoom in on images, so even I'd be losing some of the width just to not have to deal with the black bars. And so I understand that some people really dislike that. One option I've heard from people is, you know what, why don't you just give us the option? So, toggle it. Which is, of course, similar to what you do on PCs. You can just choose whatever options you want. But, of course, it's very rare for a console to do that because it requires double the amount of optimization, really. They need to make sure that the game is running pretty much at a fixed 30 FPS, which I suppose we'll just have to see how that goes. Obviously, I'll be doing frame rate tests on it anyway. Now, as I've mentioned, the reason they've gone for 30 frames a second is basically just to reduce the impact of the game. So in other words, they get pretty much double the length of time to render each individual frame of animation. 800p, of course, same thing, exactly the same thing, 25% extra performance roughly to do whatever the heck they want with. In this case, they're utilizing a lot of it for anti-aliasing, which is kind of a curious decision, if I'm honest, from the perspective of console developer. Like, for a PC developer, generally it doesn't come baked in. There's typically an option. This is just telling you this if you're not a PC gamer. Typically it's like an option. You just choose whatever the hell you want, and, more power to you if your system can handle 4 times MSAA, but obviously you'll have to balance that out based upon the graphics options that you're running versus the resolution and so on. So if you've got a really powerful GPU, then you could run in something like 1440p or even higher. You could run like, tri-monitor setups and MSAA. That's all up to you. Depends completely on your setup. In this case, they are really looking for like a film quality type of graphics, or at least a very smooth, non-jagged appearance. And I will be honest, some games, Jaggies don't bother me so much. They don't. I'm not like one of those people that really get upset with them. Some people it really bothers. Me, not so much. I notice really obvious ones. But for others, which is kind of weird because I'm a visual quality whore, but I normally notice like textures, personally speaking. But anyway, everyone's different. But obviously, the developers are going with like a certain look, and I respect that. You know, if that's what they feel is best for the game, then go for it. Exactly what I said about Rise, Son of Rome. I did a few analysis screenshots on Rise, Son of Rome. You know, exactly the same scene back in the day when the title had not been released, and they released an image with 900p and. Basically, remember when many people went really crazy because they were saying about visual downgrades and all of that? And I have to admit, I personally believe they've made the right decision to lower the resolution to get in a better level of detail. My personal opinion, of course. So I'm more than happy for them to go this route. But I guess we're just going to have to see if they caved under the pressure. I'm hoping personally not. I suppose maybe they could go with something like, I don't know, completely just making this up on the fly, but maybe 2 times MSAA, and maybe a taller image, but obviously it really depends on what mileage they've got left over, really, on the PS4's system. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care, and bye for now.